Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Victor. I'm a third-year law student at Boston College. And this is, we're about a month in, but this is the Legislative Testimony Digital Platform, also known as the Massachusetts Archive of Transparent Testimony, aka MAT. Not named after me, although there is some resemblance there. So Massachusetts democracy, politics in general in Massachusetts, there are a lot of great accomplishments, but there are some problems, and one of them is transparency and the access to public records. Massachusetts is one of the few states where public records laws, FOIA requests, commonly known as, are not applied to the legislature. So getting public records in the legislature is difficult. It's really up to the legislature's discretion whether to provide it or not. In addition, generally, the State House is an opaque place sometimes. It can be insulated. It can be hard to know what's going on. So this project is trying to sort of get at that and to bring more communication and transparency to the State House and make it more sort of accessible. Public testimony is super important, and it's not published in Massachusetts. In a lot of states, the majority of states, if you provide testimony, if you email and provide testimony, if you go in person, that testimony is published online for people to see. And it's important because we want to know what our legislators are thinking when they are voting on a bill. What information are they leveraging when they're voting on a bill? Who are they listening to? Who are they ignoring? These are things that right now we really don't have the answers to. The process right now is difficult. If there's a bill that's important to you and you want to provide testimony and share your piece on it, it's not an easy thing to do. You've got to look up the committee. You've got to find the right person to email. You've got to know that that's the right process. And it's different from committee to committee. It's a very difficult and off-putting process. We want to provide shine some light on that black box and open it up. So we have two goals with the platform that we're building. One is to publish and preserve the testimony that's submitted, whether it's 3 sentences or 40 pages. We think all of it's important, whether it's academic studies or a personal story, everything is important when we're talking about the bills that shape our lives. And our second goal is to encourage more people to provide testimony, to make it more accessible, to make it maybe enjoyable, rewarding. The laws don't get passed unless people provide input. Legislatures are understaffed. You might think that they have it all together, that they have these experts to rely on, but they really don't. Most representatives are paid about the median salary in Massachusetts and have 1 staffer. And there's a lot of bills going on. So these are our 2 goals. And we want to sort of provide this archive and then make it user-friendly. This is our sign-up page. When you sign up, you'll select who your legislators are. When you submit testimony, we'll publish it on our website and then also send it to the legislators so they can hear your testimony. Once you go in, we have a list of active bills, and our idea here is to provide sort of criteria at the top for the columns so that people can self-curate what's important to them. It's important to us that we're not moderating the information, that we remain as neutral as possible. So things like how many co-sponsors does it have? How many people have provided testimony? We're going to add something that has sort of that notifies or has a list of upcoming bills that have hearings. So, you know, these are the bills that will have hearings in the next week. It's pretty timely for you to provide testimony, things like that. Once you provide testimony, we will provide, like, here's once you click into a bill, this is the testimony that you'll see. We provide options right now. It's endorse, oppose, or neutral. I think that there's probably some wiggle room to build in more flexible adjectives there. We would also expand so that you can see the full testimony if there's attachments. Ideally, we'd be able to allow people to provide audio and video as well, upload PDFs. I know that those are important in the academic space. And then once we have this, there's sort of a question of, do we want people to upvote? Do we want people to be able to downvote testimony that's published? How can we make this engaging while still being sort of productive so that we can learn from each other without getting into the trolling and sort of reductive conversations that you see on a lot of social media? Super easy things we're tackling with that one. And this would be the current page. When you provide testimony, you can choose to provide it anonymously, send a copy to your own legislators, to the relevant committee. Bills sit in committee for quite some time, so that's an important part. We're playing around with the idea of having profiles. So once you've submitted testimony for a bunch of bills, someone could see your profile and see the testimony that you provided on various bills, see where you stand. I think this would be super interesting for, if I could get my professors to use it. They talk about changing the law all the time. I don't know how they stand on bills in Massachusetts. So I think there could be some value add on seeing how sort of the conversations that we have on Twitter, online, in person can be attached to actual bills that are going to pass or not. And then sort of our last point is thinking about shareability. How can we make it so that once you share your testimony that you could post it on Twitter, on Facebook, get more people to see it, and get more people sort of in our space so that they can share their thoughts, their stories, and learn from each other and hopefully inform legislators as well. I think that's it for me.
All right. Thank you so much, Matt Victor. This is a very important data-driven project, so appreciate this insight and getting folks more engaged with the legislature.